I got it. The meeting is being live streamed.
And I'm going to click our link and record it. Alrighty. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Sloan, and welcome to another episode of Inspirational Influencer News, People Making a Difference. And today I'm really excited to welcome to the show Nolan Pillay. Nolan is certainly someone who is making a difference. He's the brilliant and dynamic founder of the trademark self-development program, Be the Best Version of Yourself, running under the company Straight Talk with Nolan. He was born in South Africa and has an almost intuitive knowledge of the diverse range of pulses that make up the heartbeat of the African continent. And most importantly, he has likely been there. So you name it, he's been there. Like many South Africans today, Nolan's childhood was a humble one. He has seen poverty and hunger, done homework by candlelight. Can you imagine? I saw that and went, oh my gosh. He's worked multiple jobs to put food on the table and to get himself through school. He's been down and out, unemployed, had sleepless nights, worrying about keeping the roof over his family's head. Most importantly, Nolan Pillay is a man who never gave up on his dreams and who is ready to share his personal success story with the world, ideally for the purpose of empowering others to achieve the same. In order to help people, Nolan has created the program that will help people move from struggle and pain to the life they want to live. And it was at his very first job as a packer and sweeper that Nolan realized that he wanted to do more with the rest of his life. He took on extra hours at work in order to finance his studies, achieving not just one, but 2 diplomas, and then moving on to achieve an SAP certification, one of the highest qualifications in the IT world. Oh boy, a computer guy. At the time, at IT world at the time. One of the highest, today Nolan is a philanthropist and focuses his attention on restoring humanity. Together with his foundation, Be the Best Version of Yourself. They work on various projects. And the project that he is working on this year is helping the deaf who struggle to live in our world because they can't hear us and we don't always understand them and we don't take the time to know how to communicate with them. So he has climbed to Mount Kilimanjaro that is happening, and he is trying to raise funds for the deaf community so that they can go on this climb. There are intended 15 climbers, 7 of whom are deaf, and they're hoping to get more funding. Nolan will talk to you, Nolan will talk to you about that towards the end of his speech. But for now, I want to turn it over to you, Nolan, Living with Adversities. So how did you?
Thank you so much, Mary, for that introduction.
How did you get started? After you kind of got through the days of working nights and days and you got some education, how did it move forward for you?
Well, thank you, Mary. That's really a good question. And if I look back and think about my life coming from a poverty background, there was one thing that really stood out for me. And that was I kept refusing to stay in this victim or self-pity mindset. Now, back in South Africa, many years ago, like 28 years ago, we had a system called apartheid. And apartheid was a system that segregated different races, etc. And you didn't have the opportunities that everyone else had. So there were always obstacles or there were always barriers. But for me, growing up, it was really tough. I still remember going to school on a cold day with no jersey or no shoes on a rainy day. But, amidst all of that day, I still made sure that I did whatever I did or did whatever it took to make sure that I can be a better person. So hence, when I took the job as a packer and a sweeper, I took it because that was the only job available. But funny enough, about 6 months into this job, there was a voice that asked me a question. And I don't know to this day who that voice was, where it came from, my higher purpose, my spirit guides, whoever it is. But the question was, is this where you want to be for the rest of your life, Nolan? And the immediate answer was no. It was like, I'm answering myself. And I said, okay, so what do you do about it? And this is when I started working on weekends, working longer hours, 12-hour shifts, etc., and started funding my own studies so that I could climb within the company at the time. And I did so eventually, to the point where I became a SAP consultant, one of the highest qualifications in the IT world. I did that for a very long time in my life. So I spent about 25 years as a SAP consultant. And eventually in 2019, I went through some very bad, inhumane behavior in the corporate world. Again, it was overcoming these challenges, overcoming all these obstacles that were thrown at you. And I could not believe that in 2019, one could still go through racist behavior and the challenges that you face in a corporate world. But again, my mindset wasn't one of victim. It wasn't one of self, but I said, maybe this is a sign that you need to get out of corporate and do something better with your life. So I started looking within myself and trying to find answers. And funny enough, when I'm looking for these answers, I go back to my childhood days. And the one value that really stuck out for me was humanity. And I realized that everything I started doing, it was humanity focused. So I thought to myself, maybe this is what my purpose really is about, is serving humanity. And when I realized that, I realized, okay, my company that I had, Straight Talk with Nolan, was formed in 2015. And this whole destruction, beautiful destruction that I'm going through is in 2019, 4 years later. But I wasn't doing anything with this company for 4 years because I was comfortable in the corporate world, traveling twice a month internationally, getting paid a good salary. So there was no need to move, right? Which crazy person will want to leave a good paying salary? Until I realized, okay, it's time to leave now. And that very same year of 2019, I relaunched my company, Straight Talk with Nolan. And this is where the game changer is, or this is where the biggest awakening came for me. Because at this launch, I had 3 deaf people come and speak there. And one may wonder, whoever's watching may wonder, what, deaf people speak at your launch? Yes, they can sign. That's their way of speaking. I had an interpreter in there, and I could understand what they were saying. So one of the things Mrs. Deaf South Africa said to, or asked me and my audiences, she said, what if all of you here could not hear, and I'm the only one that can hear? Who's the one with the disability? Wow, Mary, and that, till this day, stays with me wherever I go, because it struck a chord in my mind. And I thought to myself, okay, the challenges that the deaf people are facing, somebody needs to step up. Somebody needs to do something about this. And I realized I can be this person. I can be the voice for them, because a lot of them, although they have hearing aids or cochlear implants, they cannot speak the way you and I speak. It's either they're doing some sign language, etc. So I became that voice for the deaf people. So in a nutshell,
I just want to emphasize, because what you did was so different than a lot of people. Lots of us, guilty as charged, recognize, oh, there's a need for somebody to step up. And it doesn't go further than that. There's a need for somebody, not me, somebody else. You did something so extraordinary because you didn't say there's a need for somebody else to step up. You recognized a need and said, I can step into this. I can help. And, that is so powerful, because when you do that, it becomes your problem, not somebody else's. And we avoid taking on problems because, gosh, don't we have enough problems, and aren't we busy enough? And, we all have families and everything else. So I just really want to acknowledge you for that extraordinary notice. But the fact that you said, I can step up. Wow, that's really amazing.
Thank you, Mary. And it's just that, right? Because I've learned throughout my life, and I've been taught by my parents, is all talk and no action is not going to take you very far in life. So if you say you're going to do something, it's good to take action and make that into a reality. And you actually hit the nail on the head. A lot of people don't like to take on things like this because they see it being a hard task. Now, everything that I've been through in my life, all these obstacles that I've faced, everything was hard. But if I saw it as just something being difficult and as a challenge in life, I would not have come to where I am now. I would have still been stuck in that same position that I am in. But I saw it as a challenge. I saw it as I could do better. And the more I changed my mindset into wanting to do better, it got me to this point where I can say, I can take on these major projects and I know I can get to it, but I have to be focused in this mind. I have to be in the right flow of mind. I have to be able to visualize this, right? Especially with the deaf people, you have to visualize that, okay, deaf people are now communicating with hearing people. And I think one of the obstacles I face is, or we face is, I see a lot of the hearing people shy away from the deaf person. And it's not because it's always about a difference. It's always because they don't know how to communicate with the deaf person. And what I'm trying to do now is to bridge this gap between the hearing and the deaf so that the hearing people start recognizing them as not just a community. I want the hearing people to respect or to realize that they are humans with a small disability.
Well, it's interesting. I ended up living with a family for a summer who had a deaf son. And I'd never been around a deaf person before. And at first it was very, I sort of kept my distance because I thought, well, I don't know how to talk to Ned and he's deaf and it's not going to work out and all of that stuff. But I then, like you said, no, that's ridiculous. He's a human being. I'm a human being. I'll figure it out. And, he was pretty good at lip reading and I got pretty good at being careful with my lips. And then you could, sign a little bit. And finally, when I wasn't getting him to understand and I really wanted to have a conversation, I carried a pad and a pen with me all the time. And I write it and write it here, and write it and write it because I wanted to communicate. And he wanted to communicate. So he was only too happy to see it. And then he would talk back because now he could really understand what I had asked him. And he was working on his speech and had been working on his speech for quite a while. And so it is a challenge. There's no question about it. But when you step into it, it's just, there's such a world of passion there because they don't get many of the opportunities to interact like we do. And they're so grateful when it happens. We became really, really good friends because I cared about him, because I recognized him as a person. And I think that's really what your lesson is really, is that we all need to be recognized as people and for the strengths that we have, not for the weaknesses we all have. If we focused on our weaknesses, it would be a pretty grim scene.
Absolutely. And I must congratulate you on that, because you took the first step to get the notepad and the pen and say, let me converse with him, right? So not many people do take that first step. So well done on that. That's really showing an action taker as well, right?
Well, I was going to be in the house with him for 3 or 4 months because I was down to go to a school that was nearby. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to live here and not talk to the guy. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow.
So I know that you are working not only on a program that allows people, not only the deaf, but other people to really be the best version of themselves, but you've also got a very exciting project with Mount Kilimanjaro. Do you want to talk to people about that a little bit?
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. So Mount Kilimanjaro is not really an easy mountain to climb. I climbed this mountain in 2019. And when I climbed it back then, I was raising funds for girls in rural areas to have access to sanitary pads. Can you imagine that? Something that should be given to girls as free, right? Because in South Africa, the government puts condoms in the male bathrooms. So why can they not put sanitary pads for girls and give it to them for free? So we did this climb for the girls. And again, it was a humanitarian cause. But this year is very special because we've taken, it's actually, our numbers have dropped. It's now down to 5 deaf climbers and 2 hearing climbers that we're taking up the mountain. The beauty of this is, for one, we're going to be bridging the gap because for one, I don't know how to sign 100%, but I'm with 5 deaf climbers who I am responsible for. So I need to understand what they're going through because they may need help at a certain point and I need to be there for them. But once we come down from this mountain and all the fundraising we're doing now is going towards giving the gift of hearing to a child. And when I say going towards giving the gift of hearing to a child, I mean, whatever funds we have, we're going to buy cochlear implants and hearing aids so that these children can start hearing from a very early age and they can now be part of community and not shunned in the community. You know, I was at a deaf school a few years back, in fact, about 2 years ago, and the principal said to me that, you know, Nolan, the parents do not want to learn how to sign. Now, if the parent does not want to learn how to sign, how does that child feel in the community? Already he's being bullied because he's got a disability, and now he's going to be bullied further because he doesn't know how to interact with them. So that's why this is special. So what we're going to do is, one, we're going to raise funds for the cochlear implants and hearing aids. Second is, when we come back, we're now going to have workshops. And in these workshops, we're going to bring the hearing people in and teach them how to sign. We're going to teach them about deaf culture. We're going to teach them, if you see a deaf person, don't just try and find the easy way out. Go and make conversation with them, converse with them, because they're very good at lip reading. They can understand what's going on. And they're very comfortable now with technology to typing into the phone and telling you exactly what they want to do. So that's what we're doing with the fundraising. We've got various fundraising events going on. We're going to have a charity golf day as well, so that we can raise funds for this initiative as well. This was birthed after I had the deaf people speak at my launch. And ever since I realized that I want to do something, I said, let's do Mount Kilimanjaro because it's not an easy mountain. We're risking our lives by climbing that mountain. And all we're looking for is for, you know, companies and corporates to come to the party and start helping us, to sponsor us for this and let us focus on getting up that mountain rather than have to focus on doing fundraising and climbing the mountain as well. So really, it is an exciting project for us.
It's interesting. I've got another guest on my show, actually in, I think it's next Friday, so about 10 days away. And he's doing a climb up Mount Kilimanjaro. And I don't know the whole details. His story is somebody who has learned how to lose weight without dieting. And I mean, I think that's a kind of worthwhile cause because a lot of us could definitely lose some weight. And without dieting sounds amazing. And I don't know what his Mount Kilimanjaro adventure is, probably to celebrate the fact that he got back to the body and the fitness level that he had. And, you know, of course, that makes you younger and makes you able to go more places and do more places. But it would be interesting, and I should try and put the two of you together to see if there is something that you could do together to raise more awareness of Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, it's when I was living in Panama, there was a fellow there who did a climb up Mount Kilimanjaro, and he was in his latter years, and he had to work hard to get himself fit enough to be able to do it. But he realized that it probably was his last kick at the can, and he wanted to do it with a couple of members of his family. So he did it and he made it and he came back, which was amazing. And so, it's a very difficult climb, but it's not Mount Everest, which.
Correct. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I like that. I would love to connect with him because as part of the foundation's future goals is every year we will pick a different cause and we will partner with a nonprofit organization and do something. So next year it could be mental wellness, or it could be autism, or it could be cancer. It could be anything. But I want to make sure that every single year we do something special for an organization and help these nonprofits to be able to carry on their day-to-day lives as well. And of course, create awareness as well.
So I know that you said that you've got a Fund Me page that people, if they hear this and would like to participate, and that it'll be there for a while because you're going to continue funding these types of ventures for various nonprofits. This happens to be for the deaf and to help did you say 7 deaf climbers that are left?
It's 5 deaf climbers and 2 hearing. The 7 of us in total.
I see.
Yeah. So yeah, I do have a funding page. It's called Go Get Funding. So if you go to Go Get Funding and type in on the top there, climb the number 4, the deaf, as in climb for the deaf, you will find our fundraising page. Please support this cause because it's such a brilliant cause. And I would think that with such a brilliant cause, you will get funds that come in very easily, but it's really not so. It's really a struggle for us. And
well, I think it's how far you can get and how many people take you up on it. Because of course, I don't know what you've done with respect to getting out to the newspapers and talking about it or anything like that. But I mean, if you can get that out in the news and get, some of the news behind it so that they see it as a way to, draw more attention to Africa as a positive thing and to the deaf community as a positive thing, they can help you a lot because really the news is really what can make a big difference. And this is really different. So, if you haven't reached out to the news, I would reach out as often as you can, because I think you'll find that you'll get somebody. And if you want my help afterwards, what I can do is help you create a press release which talks about what you're doing. And press releases are designed to notify a lot of the news people about what's happening. And if they see an opportunity, they can, get back in touch with you and take up the story more. So that might be something that you and I can talk about and see if we can get going.
Yeah, no, that would be great. We have been in a few newspapers. I've done a few radio interviews as well.
Oh, that's
it's
good.
just keeping that consistency. Yeah, we've appeared in, I think, about 4 or 5 different news articles already. Did another 3 radio interviews, and now we're looking at the TV channels as well. We're in contact with them to try and get our story out there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, because if you can get out to the news, people tune into the news a lot, so that can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Anyway, is there any parting words that you'd like to give our listeners since we're getting close to shutting this down?
Yeah, I think, like I always say, and I read it directly from a picture that I had there when I was up Mount Kilimanjaro, and it's for people to find that place inside themselves where nothing is impossible. So if you're looking at any humanitarian act that you want to do, we can only restore humanity as a collective. We cannot do it alone. So, and when you're helping humanity, it doesn't only have to be a financial constraint on you. You can help humanity in so many ways. You can be there for people. You can share your services. You can coach the young kids, etc. Humanity does need a lot of restoring. So my wish for, in fact, all the listeners is do something towards humanity. Try and live a purposeful life, because we all want to leave a legacy when we're gone, right? So let people leave everyone you come. Well, this is the Bob Proctor quote, right? Quote, and it's leave everyone you come across with an impression of increase. So add some value to their lives.
Well, and even if it's the smile on your face that can make a difference. It lifts people's spirits even that day. I walk through my life with a smile on my face. And I do it by design because I have discovered that when I smile, people smile back at me. And I don't know what kind of a day they're having. Maybe I have been the bright light in their day. That's just something that I took on a long time ago. And I find that people do smile back at me. So I think that's
It's lucky.
just my commitment to making sure that people go forth with a little brighter light in their life.
Wow, that's wonderful, Mary, because it costs nothing, right? Just a smile.
No, it costs nothing. And
And you're building muscles.
it makes me feel better and it makes them feel better. So that's certainly something that everybody can try.
That's wonderful. Absolutely. Being kind to people doesn't cost nothing.
Anyway, thank you so much, Nolan, for an interesting story, and good luck with your climb and getting people funded and getting people up the mountain and back down again. It's a real challenge that you've taken on. And so that's gogetfunding.com. Is that right? Go Get
Yep.
Funding. And then it's you look for climb and the number 4, the deaf, D as in dog, E-A-F as in father, because that word deaf is hard to hear, and it comes out funny. So that's great. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming in and letting us know and giving us this chance to participate in something wonderful.
Thank you so much, Mary. And I'm really thankful and grateful to be on your show as well. Inspirational Influencer News. Really love it. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I think, there are wonderful people in this world, people making a difference, and I want to showcase them. That's a little bit I can do.